Hey, this is iProtein, and I'm Tim.
I'm Connor.
And we take deep dives into just random media.
Today we're going to be looking at movies.
Yeah, and specifically because I have a film degree and been working in this field for over a decade.
I don't have any degree in film or anything like that, but I have a lot of free time, so I watch a lot of movies.
Tragically, as you may have noticed, I have 3 children.
Tragically.
And yeah, one of the things that comes up a lot is my lack of free time. So I don't get to watch a lot of movies. So Connor comes in with a lot of the practical knowledge, and then I'll come in with some book stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Connor doesn't even fully know what we're talking about today, but we're going to be looking at a scene from Hocus Pocus 2.
I did see it, but I have not seen it as much as him. With his kids, he has seen it a bunch. So I think he's watched the first one and the second one like over and over.
Yes, my oldest, who's almost 4, she just went on a train with this movie. So it was like all through fall, summer. The second that movie was released, it was the first one, the second one, back and forth.
Just nonstop.
And yeah, she was Winifred for Halloween, and yeah, it was off. So yeah, when I talk to Connor or other friends about movies, they're like, oh yeah, I've seen it. It's like, oh, do you remember that one scene, that one thing where that person said this? It's like, no, I watched it once 4 months ago and I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, like it didn't hit me that hard, like where I was like, oh man, it's crazy.
Yeah, so to say I don't watch many movies is a lie, sort of. I watch a lot of the same 4 movies, but I watch those 4 movies like 30 times in a week.
Over and over.
Over and over. So I get a lot of those fine details.
Exactly.
So, I'm going to show Connor.
Oh my god, they're gonna kill Mr. Trask.
Once they do that power spell, I think they're gonna kill everybody. Okay, not to freak out, but the idea of a vengeful maniac obsessed with getting revenge on Salem becoming an invincible, all-powerful vengeful maniac obsessed with getting revenge on Salem sounds very bad for Salem.
We have to tell Cassie. Okay, do you think she'll leave an answer?
So it was that specific.
Was that over-explanation from her? Like, that freaking dialogue.
So that is what... So, like, obviously, I'm on my, like, 7th viewing of it, because I'm like, it's so clunky.
Yeah.
But I feel like it plays, like, attempting to be clunky.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to be wordy.
Right. Panicking,
To be, like,
wordy
fun?
kind of thing.
I don't know. So, one of the things when I was starting to think about it, because the second one is... And I don't think this is like a hot take or anything, but
Hot take alert. Here we go. Sound alarm.
Was there like a cold take?
This is like, yeah.
So my cold take is Hocus Pocus 2 is markedly less spooky than Hocus Pocus 1.
Yeah, I had watched them back to back, and I did get like the spooky vibes where I was like, man, as a kid, I remember this like freaking me out, like some of these scenes or like something like that. But, I mean, obviously I'm an adult now, and I watched Hocus Pocus 2.
Congrats.
So I was like, yeah, it was a big accomplishment. It wasn't as scary. There were like parts that just like didn't really hit, or like it wasn't.
And
it was a lot more slapstick. Kind of like,
yes. Yeah, and it can be hard to remove yourself from the nostalgia of the first one. But yeah, there were, like, I still remember being scared as a kid watching the scene of the like 2 teens like locked in the cage.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, they're about to get like eaten,
Yeah.
trapped in a cage. Like, I remember being freaked as a kid.
Right.
And I don't think the second one, even though they hint about some things in that nature, they never cross into that territory.
Right. They had them like locked in the basement, but it's like they never like feared for their life in the basement.
Right. And in the first one, not that it's grotesque, but like they do eat the soul of a child.
Yeah.
And that child dies on screen.
True.
Even though it's not, when my 3.5-year-old watching it, I don't think she might know that like a kid just died. I don't think she's registering that, but that, I mean, she's dead. They talk about the brothers like, you just killed my sister.
Right.
But in this one, they don't really have any of those moments where they talk about like, oh, I might eat you, but we don't have that.
They threaten, but never really like show or like kind of make it like kind of spooky in some kind of way. Like that.
And so when I was kind of watching this over and over, the way this line kind of then just started jumping to me was in that 29, a very annoying year gap. Like they couldn't, not that I want a movie to be delayed, but like you couldn't have the 30th anniversary of this movie if they just waited a year. They did on the 29th. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, that's so dumb.
So in that gap of time, like they became, these figures of Halloween, and the three actors playing the witches like are famous in their own regard outside of this movie, but like very well known
in the town,
especially for like our age group, very well known for playing the Sanderson sisters. And so I feel like they're making this sequel now. The witches are like the heroes, like they're what everyone's wanting to watch, whereas in the first one it was kind of just the witches could be scary because no one was expecting anything from them,
right?
But in this one it felt like Disney
kind of like
was
the focus,
right, and they were very aware of their like image,
paint them in like a better light,
right?
Kind of thing.
Which is why like the ending is very kind of positive.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a redemptive story for a movie about these three witches that have killed however many children
right.
over, and they're getting like a happy ending. And so I feel like this was them. This line specifically
just like,
is them making sure
brute force it in, like, hey, like,
they're
even though they
villains,
seem fun and like, you know, we're all happy to see them and stuff, but like we still all like them.
Yeah, and like I feel like they were worried. They were this worried that kids were gonna watch it and start cheering for the witches. That they're like, we need everyone to know.
Well, I mean,
that the witches are the bad guys. Like, they are the antagonists. So, like, hey, everyone watching, maybe stop cheering for the Sanderson sisters. Because bad witches doing bad things in our town might be bad. And it's just like, why are we talking about this? If not other than to reinforce that, like, structure. Because in the first one, it's very obvious. They're menacing.
Yeah, they're really
in this, they're silly.
Yeah.
And I feel like you would get caught up cheering for them.
Right, yeah. I mean, Addie cheers for them.
She does. She loves them.
Right, so it didn't work in some aspect.
That's the only thing I could see, like, why would... It plays to me like... And I would love to see, like, a special feature or something, but it feels like they had a test screening. I don't know any of this for a fact. But it feels like they had a test screening that was like, they're the heroes like the whole movie, and they get a happy ending. It's like this felt like a line that was like, hey, we need to toss something in here and do like a reshoot about them being the bad guys.
I can see that,
because it's like
I mean, even during the whole movie, I hated those kids. So like I was like, I was not rooting for them.
Take that scene out. Like, it should be obvious. They got the book. They're trying to do bad stuff. Yeah. Like, they're going to Salem. They're telling them about taking it over. Like,
right, yeah. I mean, they controlled, like, a bunch of people. Like, I mean, they're doing wrong things, but not overtly, like, killing people. Just, like, outright.
So I just thought that was on.
Yeah.
Yeah. My, I guess my forward fear of this now is where the series would go. So like this was a step in the happier direction.
Yeah.
To the point where we had to hit the viewer over by telling them like witches are bad,
right,
and eating souls is bad.
I'm trying to think of.
And so like the next thing, like the friends in the movie are effectively the new like three witches by the end. And they have the book, they have everything, and I'm like, the second it ends and they're doing like the hag tracks like off screen, and I'm like, if we get a Hocus Pocus 3 with these three doing like happy witch things, like I was so like,
just,
like they're now like the new witches, but I'm like, the whole thing of these witches is that they're eating children's souls to stay young.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like if they make a Hocus Pocus 3, we're just in like Hallmark's The Good Witch territory.
Like, just
golf me. The Good Witch. What a series.
They're just gonna be like just fun witches like around the town of like Salem. They were just like, oh,
they made them the witches. What do they do now?
The new Sandersons.
Like, what wacky antics are they using with the book?
Yeah, I don't know. Chase boys or something. You know what I mean?
I don't know. What makes the witch movie fun? Like the fear, like the spooky parts, I feel like is what makes that fun as a kid.
Right. Yeah.
And they washed it all away.
Yeah. Just
and then
Disney washing it.
Yeah. Instead of putting a kid in a trap, they just tell you the witches are bad. Put kids in traps.
Yeah. Nice.
Witches and like monster shows are kind of big with kids, I guess, right now. Like they have like the zombie shows, they have Monster High, Super Monsters, Vampirina. Like there are these shows. Yeah.
I don't know about any of these, but yeah, okay.
There are these shows like
Right.
aimed at like young teens,
Geared towards
kids,
kids, yeah.
and even like toddler age
Right.
that feature these like fun, happy monsters.
Right. That's
And yeah, and there was which is great because like I'd rather watch those than some other stuff, and then now Abby
Coco
loves
Melon.
monsters. So
Coco
yeah. Thank you, Connor. If the three sisters weren't as big as they are, I feel like they wouldn't feel the pressure to give them a happy ending. Because like, how do you end this movie with the icons? Which I think is why I was okay with the ending, because it's like, what are you gonna do as Disney?
Right.
Like, are you gonna kill them again and just put them like back in the ground? Well, that's exactly now you just Return of the Jedi.
I mean,
your New Hope. Like
yeah.
you're just repeating your ending.
I'm gonna say, like, I'm kind of okay with that though. Like, if it just, well, I mean, you can't do it and like
It would
keep
need
it
to feel-
interesting, right? Yeah.
It would need to feel
I'd say-
more permanent in some way.
Right, Infinity War them, you know what I mean? Like, give them the win,
Yeah.
and then, you know, bring it back to where it's like somebody else or some other kids trying to
Yeah.
save
The
day.
Yeah,
in the next
because
movie.
it felt like a reverse fix. Like
Yeah.
like how spooky do we want to make this? Well, we need the witches to have a happy ending
Yeah.
because like
Right.
everyone loves them.
Yeah.
And so how do we give the witches a happy ending? Well, a good way to make people not mad at them is to maybe not have kids in cages. Don't be sucking the soul out of a child and killing them on screen.
Yeah.
Don't be trying to actually catch children and take them away. Like, I feel like if they had those scenes, now that redemptive ending is a little trickier to pull off.
Yeah.
But by taking all those things away and just alluding to the damage or fear they could do, now it's all just kind of like an ethereal thing, and they can get to that.
Right.
Like, it seemed like they started at the ending they wanted and then worked backward on, like, what do we need to do
Right.
so audiences can cheer for them while also knowing they're the villain.
And I'm just like,
And then it still didn't work, so they added that line.
I'm like, they're still not scary enough. Oh, how do we do this?
I don't know. It was. I enjoyed it. It didn't feel like Hocus Pocus to me.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like, and this is another show you probably haven't seen, but it felt like Scaredy Cats, which is like a newer Netflix original show about these 3 young girls who I think become witches, or they find some witch. Hey, oh, from the title.
Did I just
Like, oh, you did watch it. But yes, they find a spell or something, and they're able to turn themselves into cats. And there's these 2 older witches who are just like bumbling and silly, and it felt more akin to that.
Okay, yeah.
Where it's just like good witches doing good, bad witches being silly.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so I enjoyed it, but I was a little let down.
Right. Yeah, I'm just thinking about giving them like an actual like Infinity War thing where it's like they win,
Yeah,
take over the town.
I would. Oh my gosh.
And then the next movie,
Yeah.
like literally bring it into like, all right, full on trilogy, and then like they got the next movie where it's like the town is taken
Yeah,
over.
that's-
It's like a mess. Like,
That's Hocus Pocus 3, the Shudder original.
make it like there's like a whole like they're creating like a covenant kind of thing, and then like,
Yeah.
the town's like trying to fight back.
Dude, and
that would have been kind of cool.
in the like cold intro of Hocus Pocus 2, where we're seeing the 3 witches as kids.
I actually really enjoyed.
I
that.
did enjoy that.
Yeah.
But you meet the owner of AFC Richmond, and she's like hanging out in the woods, and she kind of repeats to the group about like one day we'll rule Salem, and I was like, I would have loved to have seen that, like see the witches take over and just have this like full like
Yeah.
witchy
Like,
Salem.
Yeah, literally complete like witched out, like, you know,
Yeah,
owned
and then
by
like
them,
and then like
yeah.
the Puritans are living in the woods.
Yeah.
like afraid.
That would have been cool.
That would have been cool.
Dang, dude. You hear that? Disney?
Shudder. But that's all we had to talk about on Hocus Pocus 2. Though I could keep going, but I won't. Don't get me started,
Yeah.
especially if my daughter was here.
Next episode, we'll get Tim's daughter and Tim's wife in here, and they got a whole lot to chime in about.
The video's gonna go. It's gonna go south. It's
Yeah.
just gonna be screaming about. There's gonna be a lot of singing and dancing. Addie's gonna want to do.
You get her whole
she's gonna
costume
fully
out.
act out the intro.
An entire reenactment. So, in summary, yeah, that's how Tim and I felt about Hocus Pocus.
Yeah,
How they've.
enjoyed it. Issues. That was my biggest complaint. Did anyone else have complaints on the movie or the script or how they wanted the witches to be seen? Fears of Hocus Pocus 3? Because I got them. My daughter doesn't, but I do. I have fears of Hocus Pocus 3. Unless it's a Shudder original. Now I'm on board.
That'd be crazy.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next time. For iProtein, I'm Tim.
I'm Connor.
And we're the Moon Men.